Welcome to this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have Tony Schmaltz. He is a speaker, author, coach, personal trainer. Welcome to the show, Tony.
Thanks for having me, AJ. It's glad to be here.
You are welcome to the show, Tony. You are welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk right now. We'll be talking about mindset mastery for an extraordinary life. So that will. But before we go to that, let's learn a bit more about you, Tony, so that the audience learns about you directly from you and can get a better understanding who they are listening to.
Excellent. Well, I'll give you the short version. So I spent more than 20 years in the corporate world, working my way from the bottom to senior management. And I did this without a college degree. So I had to work extra hard to really make it to that level. And then when we moved from Seattle, Washington to Florida, I took on a job there. We went through a massive hurricane, which wiped out the area. And the company I went to work for was terrible company. So I hired my first coach, my first personal coach. And after working with him for a few months, I decided that's what I want to do. I really want to be a coach myself. And so I started coaching on the side. And then in September of 2021, after I grown a business, I was able to leave and work on my own and have been a coach ever since. So it's really, really been a fun journey. And even though that sounds all pretty, there's been lots of downs and ups along the way.
Absolutely, Tony. So now, in terms of you want to help people in upgrading their life in any area possible. So what areas do your clients come to you for so that they can upgrade their lives? Help us a bit about that sort of a mindset and how do you handle those difficult things, because it's very difficult to even handle our own lives. How do we help others upgrade their lives?
So most people that come to me are actually entrepreneurs, and they want to find a way to grow their business. They want to find a way to find more sales, more success. And then when I work with them, when I get them on as clients, it turns out that most of what's really holding them back is right here. It's right there in their mind. And that's why when we talk about upgrading your mindset, most people know how to get sales. They know how to run a business, or they've taken courses. They've learned all kinds of things, and they don't do it because they get in their own head. And they worry too much about what other people think, and they're what I call a people pleaser. And so because of that, they procrastinate and they let fear overtake the actions they need to take. So when I really help people upgrade, I really get them over those fears that are keeping them from taking on the tasks. And so I work with them on getting out of their comfort zone and finding their own way. And it's fun when you see somebody's light bulb go off and they go, oh, that's what it is. And they find out what it is that's been holding them back, and they make that jump into their future. When they find that success, it's very fulfilling for me.
Absolutely, it's fulfilling for you. Now, in terms of upgrading their lives or making those needed changes that people want to but are not able to for whatever reasons, how can one get started? How do I evaluate whether even I need an upgrade, or the version that I am, that's the perfect version? It's not software that Microsoft or anyone else will keep on setting updates, so we know that some new version has come in. But
Right.
When we look at ourselves, it's very difficult to evaluate ourselves.
Well, and you just said the right thing. It's evaluating yourself and finding out where you're at. So I highly recommend a book from a friend of mine, Tom Ziegler. It's called Choose to Win. And I use this with all my clients because in that book, Choose to Win, he has an evaluation tool called the Wheel of Life. And what you do is you evaluate yourself based on what you think your personal life's like, your mental state, your finances, your family and relationships, your career/business. You have 7 different areas that you evaluate yourself. And then based on how you evaluate it, then you know where you want to put the focus on and really set your goals and your visions for how you want your future to go. So always start with evaluating yourself. Now, like you said, it's not something Microsoft developed. You have to really use your own head and give yourself credit. But there's lots of tools out there. That's just the one that I prefer and I recommend.
Right, right. So are there other things that one should look? Okay, I have done the evaluation part. Many people know that they have this problem. It's like addiction. People know that they are addicted to something. People know that they are workaholic. People know that they are people pleasers, but they don't know how to get out of it. And it sounds easy sometimes, but it's not that easy most of the time.
Yeah.
How do I get out of it and then look at my own life first from a distance and then embrace the change within myself?
So there's three things I always talk about. The first one is you have to make the choice. You have to decide that this is not who I want to be, that I don't want to be the people pleaser, that I want to make a change in my life. So one, you have to make the choice. Two, you have to commit to that decision. You have to commit like your life depends on it. That this is who I want to be now. I don't want to be the person I've been. I want to make the change. So I'm committing to making that change. And then three, you have to practice. Those are the three keys to finding success is making the choice, making the commitment, and then practice, practice, practice. And one of the ways that I really encourage people to get themselves into starting the day right. When you really start your day on a positive note, it makes it easy to take on those other tasks that are normally hard. You know, when I wake up in the morning, the first thing I do is I read my declarations in the mirror. And these are I am statements. Some people call them affirmations. Mine are a little different than affirmations, although they're a good way of getting my mind right. And then I meditate for 10 to 30 minutes, depending on what my schedule looks like. It's minimum of 10. I try to go as far as 30. And then I read something inspirational. And then I do a light exercise, even just walking around the block. It's just about getting the blood flowing. And those things there, and I have a couple other things, depending on my time, I might add in. But those things there really help me get my day started. And when I help my clients develop a positive morning like that, it makes it so much easier to handle the day. It doesn't matter if something negative happens. If you start off on a positive note like that, then everything else becomes easier. But if you start off and you wake up and you're already in a bad mood, then your day is already going to be a bad day.
Absolutely. Now, let me understand. You talk about being a little more snazzy. What does that mean? Help us understand that.
So the word schmaltzy, the German definition of the word schmaltzy means to be overly sappy or cheesy, like a joke is cheesy. And so that's me. The story goes back to when I was 17. When I was 17 years old, I went on an exchange program to Germany, and most of the kids over there started calling me Schmaltzy. Well, at first I thought it was just playing on my last name because my last name is Schmaltz. So I didn't think anything of it. Then a year later, my friend from Germany came back to the United States and visited me for a while, and he started calling me Schmaltzy again. And I was like, what is that? Why are you calling me Schmaltzy? And he said, you don't know? He said, well, because when you were over there in Germany, you were a teenager hitting on all the girls, flirting with all the girls, and you had the cheesiest pickup lines that you've ever heard. And so we all started calling you Schmaltzy. And I was like, wow. You know, at 18, I was kind of offended. I was like, oh, really? That's not good. But then years later, when I became a coach and trying to find a way to make myself separate from everybody else, I had a dream about that moment where I was called Schmaltzy, and I woke up and I went, that's it. That's me. I am overly sappy and cheesy. So when I talk to people about being schmaltzy, I'm not necessarily telling them to be overly sappy or cheesy, although sometimes that helps. I'm basically saying to be the real you, because that's the real me. So if I say be schmaltzy, I'm telling you, be the real you. Whoever that is, find that person inside and be that person.
Right, right. Now, another thing I want to understand, you talk about do or do not. There is no try. Normally people say, if you try, that's enough. The rest is, in God's hand or whoever it is.
Right.
So why do you say so?
Because there is no try. There's no such thing as try. In fact, I actively try to eliminate, I said it right there. I actively work on eliminating that word from my vocabulary. So think about it this way. Somebody comes to you and they say, well, you invite somebody over for dinner. And somebody says, well, I'm going to try to make it. Well, basically what they're doing is they're telling you that they haven't committed, and they're telling you that they're unreliable, and they're telling themselves that they're unreliable, and they may or may not make it. Whereas if you fully commit to everything you do, then there is no try because you make it happen. There's an example given by Werner Erhard at one of his forums that he did years ago, where a man was standing speaking to him, and he talked about try, and he said there is no try. There's no such thing as try. And so the man was standing there, and he said to the man, he said, I want you to try to sit down. And the man sat down. And he said, no, you didn't try to sit down. You sat down. You actually did it. That's not trying. You did it. He's like, now I want you to try to stand up. And he stands up. He's like, see, you stood up. So there is no try. You're either doing or doing not. And a friend of mine, when I was having this conversation with her, said, well, what if I want to lift 450 pounds of weights? He's like, I'm not going to be able to do that. So I'm going to try to do it. I said, no, you're not going to try to do it. You're going to strain yourself while lifting this thing. And so you're still taking action. You're still acting on trying to lift. I say trying again. You're still acting on pulling on this bar. So there really is always some sort of activity. There's never the word try. You either do or do not. And so by using that word try, you're giving yourself an out, and you're letting people around you know that you're not reliable. I'm not reliable because I'm not actually going to commit to doing this. I'm going to tell you I'm going to try. That way, if I don't want to do it later, I can back out. And so that's just not a good way to be authentic, and that doesn't give you a lot of integrity. So when I say do or do not, there is no try. That's about living fully authentic with integrity and committing to the things you say you're going to do.
Absolutely. I like that explanation. And I think I will also start using it. Though sometimes, this try thing make people feel that less burden about succeeding, whatever day it is. But yes, this is something nice that I will also try to follow. Again, I'm using the word try. I will follow this something in my life, which will help me. Now let's come to your book. I don't know how to pronounce it, so you tell us about the book, your new book, so that people can learn more from you through that.
Yeah, it's called Wake the Bleep Up. And it's available on Amazon. I actually don't have a copy with me because all my copies are gone. But it's called Wake the Bleep Up, and it's got 3 parts to it. And the first part is back to mindset. The first part is all about getting out of your own head so that you can set up the foundation for being successful in the future. Some of that is about stop the people pleasing. Some of that is overcoming programming. Some of that is about being more positive in your life, how you speak, how you think. And then part 2 is how you change bad habits into good habits. And we talk about that in different chapters on each individual part of your life. Some of it career, business, life, etc. Changing bad habits into good habits. And then the last part, there's 3 parts. The third part is bringing it all together. Here's activities. These are the activities. Now that you've established your mindset, now that you've changed the bad habits into good habits, here's the activities to really take you to the next level. And whether it's a business, a career, a relationship, or just your life in general, you take these activities from part 3, and you're gonna have a more fulfilled, more happy and fulfilling life that you ever thought possible.
Right. So who is this book for? Is it for people who want to upgrade themselves, or is it any particular business people who want to? Who have you targeted this for?
So it can be for literally anybody. However, it was written with entrepreneurs in mind. So anyone, it doesn't matter if you're a network marketer, if you have a small business, a large business, it's really designed for entrepreneurs. But I've had people I've had a stay-at-home mom read the book recently and say it was the best thing she's ever read. So it really works for anybody, but the main audience was entrepreneurs.
Right. Now, my last question to you, Tony, is when we talk of mindset mastery, our mind has already been programmed by the Almighty Master once. Then we reprogram it in our own way.
Yeah.
Do you think we can go wrong anywhere with that, or is it the way God has programmed so that we can twist and fine tune it according to our needs? And do we need to continuously do this mindset mastery at different points in life, or once is enough? How do you see this as a coach?
So the way I put this is you need to be a lifelong learner. You never want to stop learning. So this is never ending. So you don't do this once and it's done. You're always going to have to work on this. There's always going to be a new situation. There's always going to be something that pops up. The key is to start somewhere. It's the journey of 10,000 miles starts with a single step. You really got to start somewhere. And so first we start with that evaluation tool, like we talked about earlier. And then we find out what you're really passionate about. So many people are hiding their real selves. They've got like passions and hobbies that they keep in their home and they don't share with anybody because they're afraid of what people are going to think. So we find those things that have been programmed into you over the years and start slowly and surely, but eliminate those little by little. And part of that is really getting over that people pleaser, because most people would know who they are, or at least if they dug into their mind would find out who they are, but they're so afraid of what people are going to think that they hide it. They put it deep down inside and they don't let it out. One of the things I do with my clients is I assign Schmaltz tasks. And so back to the word Schmaltz. And these are tasks that are designed to get you out of your comfort zone and stop the people pleaser. For example, I recently, one of the ones I gave a client who took it on, put it on video, is I said, okay, I want you to go into the grocery store or the marketplace, and I want you to walk up to 5 random people and just get real close and say, I am Batman. Just something really, really cheesy and funny, but most people are afraid to do it. And so by taking yourself out of your comfort zone, it's nothing dangerous. It's not going to hurt anybody. It's scary, yes. But this one gentleman, he said afterwards, he's like, that was amazing. I actually went up to 6 other people afterwards because now I feel good about it. So it's once you get that confidence and not worrying so much about what people think, the rest of it becomes easier.
Absolutely. There is much to learn from you, Tony. And I'm sure a lot of people will not only learn from your book, this episode, but a lot of people would like to connect with you, to learn more about you, from you, take your coaching. So what's the best way for them to do so?
Well, go to my website, tonyschmaltz.com, and you can connect with me right through there. And there's lots of free videos and free resources. Plus, there's information on what I do and all my programs. Or you can follow me on any of the major social media platforms. I'm always posting stuff every day that's usually very inspirational or helpful for anybody who wants to upgrade in their lives.
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KAJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed